you tomorrow and said, all right, we need you for the main event November 21st, who do you want to fight? Like, what's your ideal scenario? What's your answer?
I'll be real. I think Chandler should get an intro fight to somebody else instead of just me. You can't call me a gatekeeper because that's obviously not what I am. So, I mean, like, being real, I'm still up there in the champion leagues. I mean, like, one uppercut, Ariel, from that last Gaethje fight. I mean, I can't say anything after it, but I didn't chain it up. You know, my combo, everyone want to know, 632. Boom, boom, boom. The head kick. That dude would have been done. It was different, man. But I had a couple talks with some of my military friends, and it's either me or them. That's different, man. I got to go home with my family, so I'm training hard.
So who would you pick?
Khabib. Let's go.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, the fans want to see it. I'm not trying to hype anything. Boom. It's competition. Nothing against him. Nothing personal. Like how Izzy and John Jones keep going back and forth like a bunch. Look at a bunch of bitches, dude. Look at seriously. Get back to training. My one coach, Billy, was the smartest dude. He told me, hey, stay off of social media. Smart.
Can I ask you, how do you feel about the fact that Chandler is the backup fighter for the title fight?
I don't give a fuck. I've been backup fighters forever. You ever prepared for like 3 fighters? I've had to do that so many fights. Whatever.
You don't...
Like, it's a big deal. Like, I don't give a shit, dude. It's kind of like playing Tekken. It's like playing a video game, right? And you play, like, who you gonna pick? Who you gonna pick? Who's your favorite character? Random. Because you know what you're capable of, bro. You just boom, boom, boom. Confidence.
That we were going to ask because these guys have had a massive sort of Twitter back and forth. I know you don't go on social media. I'm curious if you ever catch any of that. But one of the barbs that John kind of threw Israel's way was about sort of asking you for permission, kind of like, ask Huge if you're ready, that kind of sort of notion. I'm wondering like what those conversations even sort of, are like, and if you guys have had any conversations lately about sort of John Jones now that he's moved up to heavyweight, or is that just something that, is still not really on the radar because of what Israel's sort of planning on doing?
What was his comment about Israel needs to ask me to fight him or something?
I think, and this is not verbatim, but I think he tweeted something along the lines of ask Huge if you're ready. They were bringing parents into it, and then John Jones said something about ask Huge if you're ready.
Yeah, they were bringing parents into it. It's like, look, I can't vibe with this, to be honest. Like, I can't vibe with this whole thing. That's why I try to ignore it. Like, especially if you're telling me they're bringing parents into it. It's like, I come from a different era where you couldn't talk like that about your opponent. Because if you did, you'd never make it to the fight. You'd be having the fight, before the actual fight, and there would never end up being an actual contest in the ring. That's the era that I come from. You couldn't. I remember when YouTube started getting popular, I remember running into people and having to have words with them, and then it got to the stage where I couldn't do that because there's just too many people. So I just knocked it all on the head. I was like, this is crazy. Like,
was it people that said stuff about you, or just like your fighters?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I came from a place where, like, if you say something on the internet, that's just as good as you saying it to my face. For me, there's no distinguishable difference. But now there is. Now the line's been moved with these young guys. Like, the line's been completely moved, where now it's okay to do this and it's okay to do that. But for me, I don't get. I come from a different era. Like, to me, you can't. These guys. Yeah, it's too much for me. I don't vibe with it, so I just stay out of it. So it's crazy. They shouldn't be mentioning each other's parents. Like, but again, like, I don't know where the line is, because in my day you couldn't do that, but like nowadays, like, you can. Like, these guys, their pride is different. Maybe they don't have as much pride. The line is different. I'm just gonna stay out of it. I don't know. They shouldn't. They will one day, and I don't know, but maybe one day they'll regret talking about each other's families. They shouldn't be doing that, in my opinion.
And just to Israel's defense, John Jones on Twitter is not an easy man to deal with. Just very random tweets sometimes throughout the day. So I'm sure it was definitely instigated. I'm curious though, it seems like John is kind of more interested than ever in this fight with Israel, and a part of me is wondering, and I wonder if you've thought about this as well, Huge, do you think it's a situation where he's hoping to try and get this fight before he goes up to the heavyweight division and maybe possibly has to fight a guy like Stipe and maybe even loses the opportunity to fight you guys if that fight doesn't go his way? Do you think a part of that sort of crosses his mind and he's hoping to try and get it in case this whole heavyweight thing doesn't really go his way?
You know what? I'm not sure because I don't know John Jones from a bar soap, to be honest. There could be a side of him that just is insanely jealous that this new guy's come into the scene and stealing a little bit of what he perceives as his thunder. There could be the fact that he's just a really great businessman and he knows how to build fights and he knows how to make money, and he's aiming at long money. So it's not necessarily a fight that's in front of him now. He's building something. He's building a nest egg for him in a couple of years. It could be just that he's a dick and that's just his personality, and that's just the way he is. I honestly, it's all speculation. But with Israel is set upon doing that fight. As long as he has the blessing of his team, his group of coaches, including me, he has got his heart set on doing that fight. It doesn't matter where John Jones goes. It goes to heavyweight, goes to light heavyweight, goes up and loses 2 fights, 3 fights, wins the next 3 fights. Israel has his heart set on that fight. So, that fight's going to happen. I'm just not sure when.
Yeah, well, okay, I got one more on John Jones and then we can get off the topic. And I just wanted to ask you, what is sort of the blessing? Like what, because you've told us before, it's not really up to any matchmakers or managers, it's up to you when that fight happens. So what would have to happen for you to give the blessing? And I think from John Jones's perspective, he's sort of trying to say that, Israel doesn't want that fight because he doesn't feel he's ready, and that's why he's sort of delaying it, or however you want to sort of call it. But in your mind, do you feel like if that fight happens, say tomorrow or end of the year, do you feel like Israel is ready skill-wise to take on a John Jones?
And I'm only one part of the decision-making process. We have a group of coaches, and we also have one of the best management teams in the world who are part of the decision-making process for me. But he's almost there. Yep. Some of the other coaches might agree or disagree with me, but yeah, he's almost there. But it's not just about that. That's not the only factor in the decision. There's some pretty clear goals before John Jones was ever mentioned, that as a team we set ourselves to achieve. And we're not going to move those goals just because someone wants a fight or something. Like, we have to achieve those things. We have to do what we set out to do as a team first. That fight, at the end of the day, that fight will always be there. But some of the goals and stuff we have to achieve, we have to knock off the list. Like, yeah. Plus, so like, I can only answer my part of that question. And if we needed to fight that fight in the next 6 months, then I would be happy to do that. But again, like, it's a team decision. That's how we work.